Hey everybody, how are you? This is Ron Couming coming to you live from the Boston area, and we're going to talk to you today. This show is Success Secrets Revealed, and we bring on the whole purpose of this show, the whole format. First of all, is I'm going to introduce the show, our sponsors, and then our guests. Today we have Scott Sorrell, who is known as Charge Mr. Charge Higher Prices. He has a great way of teaching you how to. You have your high offer, your low offer, your medium offer, but your medium offer is the offer they're going to most choose, and the whole rationale behind that. But what you charge for your medium offer might be more than what you charge for your base offer, and less than what you charge for your higher offer, blah, 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 blah. But I'm going to let him talk to you about that, okay? Because he's an expert on that. And he talks to you about the difference between, do you want something fast? Do you want, but I'm going to let him get into that. And anyhow, so this is Success Secrets Revealed. And the whole purpose of this show is I created this show. I have a radio show called Internet Marketing and Business Solutions with Ronald Couming, which is me. And what we do is, but that show is not uh, being manned live because of this COVID. So I created this show, Success Secrets Revealed, to bring on subject matter experts to help you and people like you, entrepreneurs and business owners, to achieve even greater success. So for you, you're going to hear some people that literally might cost you. I mean, you might have to fly to events, you might have to pay thousands of dollars an hour to get them to coach you. But they're going to come on the show and they're going to talk to you about who they are, what they do, and give you some tips, and then maybe give you a free PDF. And if you choose to hire them, excellent. You're only going to benefit from that. That's the purpose of this show, is just to bring you options. The sponsor of this show is RCS Online Solutions. That's my company. We help business owners and entrepreneurs attract, convert, and retain their ideal customers and clients to achieve even greater success. Let's be honest. Let's be totally authentic. You can have the best copy. You can have the best presentation. You can have the best service, the best website, the best funnel, all that. But if people can't find you, they can't consider you, and then they can't hire you, right? So you need SEO, you need online marketing. 89 cents of every dollar spent online is spent through the search engines, not social media. So, with that said, if you want to increase your base, attract more customers and clients, you got to get on the search engines. We can help you with that. That's enough of the the sponsor stuff. So I want to talk to you today, and I'm looking up here, Steve Sorrell. Somehow it got lost, but Scott, I just called him Steve. Scott Sorrell is also known as Charge. Scott Sorrell is known as Mr. Charge Higher Prices because he specializes in teaching how to get to the top of your customer's price range and stay there. Scott is the founder of Sales Adrenaline and provides sales training and success coaching to some of the world's top companies: Cisco Systems, BMW, Century 21, Canon, Washington Mutual, 3M, New York Life, and many others. Scott has presented to audiences in the US, Europe, Mexico, and Canada, and has shared the speaking platform with Jack Canfield, Mark Victor Hansen, who was just on this show a couple of weeks ago, who produced Chicken Soup for the Soul, Roger Dawson, who is the Secrets of Power Negotiating, Les Brown, who's one of my personal heroes, Jim Rohn's also one of my personal heroes, and several others. So please help me welcome Scott Sorrell.
Hey, Ron. Oh, yeah. Woo!
Scott, I was reading your resume, but it's hard because I know you on a personal level. I've listened to you. I've heard you speak. And to me, we're like friends. We go out to dinner and I hear those things. And I know you're a rock star. I know what you do can really help people once they understand it, just propel themselves. So, your bio certainly doesn't do any justice to you. So can you please tell us more about who you are and what you do?
Thanks, Ron. You are awesome. It's amazing. We've known each other for several years, and just every time, every time I hang with you, I learn more things from you. You learn more things from me. We see each other, speak on platforms, and it's just an amazing thing. So it's a real honor and a privilege to come on board. Now, I got to say, I want to thank you because I know that you obviously knew I was going to wear a purple shirt. So this nice title you have, of Mr. Charge Higher Prices at the bottom, it's in purple, perfect, perfect match. I mean, color coordinated for me, my friend. You are just a rock star for that. I appreciate that.
I would love to take credit for that, but that just comes with the service. Okay, I had no clue, but it's all good. But let's stay professional and stuff shirt and
Yes,
all that
yes.
stuff. Okay, so yes,
Ron, let's don't have any fun at all, because your audience, obviously they never want to have any fun. They don't really want to learn, how to charge higher prices and get your customers to thank you for it. They just want to learn, some dry academic point by point. And so I can do that if you like.
No, hell no. And that's not my personality anyhow. Anybody who knows me knows all I want to do is serve others, make money, and have fun. So please, you teach at colleges. I mean, you're the real deal, brother. So please talk to us about what you do and how you do it.
Well, yes, I mean you're right. I'm after many years, out in the corporate world, where I'm, working with companies like you mentioned, Cisco Systems, MetLife, BMW, Rawlings Sporting Goods. I mean, I've trained so many top corporations on how to charge higher prices and get your customers to thank you for it. And then later on, a number of years later, of course, I got noticed by universities, and they said, "Hey, can you come in and teach our course?" So I've taught. I taught for 3 years in the MBA program at Concordia University. I've taught for 5 years now. It's 2020 when we're recording this. I've taught for 5 years now at California State University of Fullerton, where I teach a course called Marketing for Entrepreneurs. And I take, as you know, Ron, I've identified more than 80 different techniques, methods, strategies for getting customers to pay more than they thought they were going to pay, but still be happy they did so. And so I weave those techniques and that mentality into everything I teach in Marketing for Entrepreneurs. And then also, on a smaller scale, there are always, small, mid-sized companies that want to hire me for consulting and acceleration, and startups. I come onto the board and I coach them and get them going. And of course, what's cool is, I'm honored over the years to have, Mr. Charge Higher Prices. I was like, the lowest price guy. When I first started, before I was a speaker, I was just terrible in business. Charged, not nearly enough. I was sleeping on the floor of my warehouse with my dog Winston for 5 years, and didn't even have a place to live. I would sneak into the gym here's what's funny, Rod. I don't think I've ever told you this, but it was so bad, and I couldn't afford a place to live. From my warehouse down the street in Fullerton, and this was years before I ever taught at Cal State Fullerton, I would sneak into the gym at Cal State Fullerton to take showers, because that's the best I could do. That was my life. I barely kept my employees paid. I just was not charging enough. And so years and years of learning by doing it wrong and building myself up, then I started sharing the techniques that was working for me with companies, and now I do it. I do it worldwide. Matter of fact, we're right now, and we're going to talk about this. We're still going to be relevant for whenever anyone is listening or watching this. but we're right in the middle of the what we're calling, I think, the COVID-19 crisis, pandemic. We're all on lockdown, at least here in California. We're kind of on lockdown, mostly in our homes, and go out to the grocery store, wearing masks and goggles and stuff, because we're still not sure, if this is a real terrible disease, or if it's like overhype, by the media, or it's a conspiracy. We have no idea. But the point is, it's depressing the economy right now. And what I'm going to share with everyone today are ways to command top dollar in a down economy, or in any economy, because if it works in a down economy, it will work even better in a flourishing economy, because what I teach are techniques for increasing your customers' willingness to pay, the WTP. WTP is an economic term for willingness to pay. And when you're able to to increase perception of value on the part of your customers, it increases their WTP, their willingness to pay. So, from a very unsuccessful beginning, now to speaking all over the world on how to do it right, because they did it wrong for so long. It's great that, I command a nice high price for doing that out there. But what's cool is, even for small and mid-sized companies that can't afford me, they'll come to me, and then I'll sometimes I'll even accept a small piece of the action on the upside, what I'm able to help accelerate them to do. Then I get paid on the back end, because, hey, once in a while, if a big corporation can write you a nice fat paycheck for taking the platform, that's one thing, right? Yeah, but if a small company can't afford, and if I believe not just in the product or service, but if I believe in the person, because I bet on the jockey, not the horse. If I believe in the person, then sometimes I'll work out a deal where, we'll succeed together, and anything I make is a performance bonus or a success fee. So, and that matter of fact, that's even another way you can work in a down economy when, say, cash is short. It doesn't mean you can't do business, and it doesn't mean you have to discount. It means that there are creative ways to still get paid. So I like to help. Ron, I know you're all about service, and I like the fact that you said, I want to serve, make money, and have fun. And in that order, because when you serve other people, right, Ron, you've seen in your business, you do such a great job, the money flows in. And when the money flows in, money can't buy happiness, but I've heard it can rent it for a while. So you can have more fun with more money, right?
And I'll tell you, the only people who say that money can't buy happiness are broke people. Okay, so let's just cut that right to the chase. What I mean? It's just money can't buy happiness. Really, the only people who say that are probably broke. But anyhow, I love your authenticity. How you talked about how you literally snuck into the gym to take showers because you just didn't have enough money to, what I mean? I mean, literally for your personal hygiene to take showers, and you're probably eating at a Subway or some other place that you didn't mention. But, that's where we start. When we see people who are successful today, we see them, like we had Alex Stern, we had all these other people, and we see them, they sold their business for $1 billion. Yeah, but that's like 20 years later, right? So, there is a long stretch. We see people for, who they are today, but, the process to get there, I was talking with Steve Sims earlier, and he talked about no one walks onto a roof. They climb a ladder, and you climb that ladder. I climb that ladder, as most entrepreneurs and business owners do. Once in a while, you're going to hit on a unicorn and poof. You just come up with an idea, and the next day you're selling it for, 200 million. But for every one time that happens, there's like, 6 million business owners and entrepreneurs that doesn't happen for. So it's a process. So if you could talk to us about that process, how to get from, an idea to, you're thinking about a business, you're thinking about what you need to do, and then to create the business, and then to present, what you offer in that step. And you talk about fast and your triangle. I don't want to steal your thunder, right? Because I'm not going to do it justice. But you can't have it fast, you can't have it quick, you can't have it cheap, but you can have it beep, beep, beep. So if you could tell us about that, because, it's just so common sense, once you get it. And once you get it, you can implement it, but you can't implement it until you get it.
Yeah, that's that's true, Ron. And we unfortunately we don't have, of course, time to go into the full startup process and launching a business and everything. And which I teach, like I said, marketing for entrepreneurs at Cal State Fullerton. And I'm blessed to teach there in the business school, in the marketing department, when it's the very same school where I used to sneak into the gym to take showers. So and matter of fact, Ron, I wasn't. Let me mention it then, because you just did. I wasn't really gonna go into the value triangle, but I think, because sometimes I get tired of talking about it, but I'll mention it real quick because it's probably important for your listeners, for your viewers. Every customer you have wants three things. They want top quality, they want the most incredible service, and they want it all at the lowest price. And that's what I call the value triangle: good, fast, and cheap. If you envision, and I'm not going to put up a triangle of graphics right now, but if you envision a triangle, there's three sides to the value triangle: good, fast, and cheap. And I always tell my clients and prospects that are looking to do business with me, and I teach my client companies to talk to their customers like this. I say, you know what? I understand every customer, you're Mr. Prospect, Ms. Prospect, you're looking for three things: the best quality, the most fabulous service, all at the lowest price. But I have yet to find a company that can offer all three. And so, kind of like Burger King, have it your way, right? Pick any two, because you can have two sides of the value triangle, but that's all. And matter of fact, when I taught it once to a particular building materials supply company, a very high-end building materials supply company, a big regional player here in California, and I taught them the value triangle. Matter of fact, I printed out the value triangle for them in full color: good, fast, and cheap. Have it your way. And all the details on it. And at the end of the training that particular week, and I was doing trainings ongoing for them for about a year, every week. And what I did is I handed it to him at the end of the session. And I remember one guy, Kevin, put it into his satchel, and they all left. And the next week, I asked, first off, I said, hey, what did you guys do with what you learned about the value triangle? Good, fast, and cheap. You can only have it, any two. Have it your way. And Kevin raised his hand. He said, I got a story. He said, there was a contractor that I have been calling on, to buy supplies from us for forever. And the guy will never do business with us because he's always just sitting back in his chair and going, well, you're going to have to sharpen your pencil on that one. And of course, contractor language, sharpen your pencil means what? Lower your price. And they would go back and forth, and Kevin would say, yeah, but our stuff is the best quality. We're going to get it to your job site on time, and go back and forth. The guy never placed an order. So he said, this time, we got in the same kind of discussion, argument. I got totally frustrated. And so he goes, I whipped out the value triangle from my satchel. I put it down on the desk in front of him. And I said, listen, buddy, you can get it good and cheap. You can get it cheap and fast. You can get it fast and good, but you cannot get it cheap and fast and good. Get it? And the guy sat back in his chair, and the contractor said, got it. And that contractor placed his very first order with Kevin that day, because the contractor looked at the value triangle: good, fast, and cheap. And you can get it good and cheap. You can get it cheap and fast. You can get it fast and good, but you cannot get it cheap and fast and good. And the contractor said to Kevin, and I quote, I understand. I can't even offer all three sides in my business. And what it did, Ron, is it opened up this transparent discussion between them about something called profit. And that every company has to make money if both players are going to stay in business and the one who's selling to the other is going to be able to continue to serve them. And so the guy placed his first order because he realized if he nickel and dimed, he wasn't going to get the best quality products. Deliveries might be late in terms of service to a job site. He's got 50 guys waiting around for supplies. He's spending thousands of dollars an hour while they're not being delivered, and he saved a nickel a box on screws, right? But the truck never showed up. So So that is how powerful the value triangle is, and maybe that'll lay the foundation for a few more of the things that I'm going to share today.
I love it. But it is so fundamental, Scott. At the end of the day, it's so fundamental because so many times, people have this mindset. They think things are like a light switch. You just flick a button and all of a sudden it turns on. But, that's what they want to hire you for. But, like you connected with that person through that triangle, you connected with him and he actually sat back and he said, well, geez, in my own business, I can't do that. How can I expect that from you in your business, So please feel free to talk about what you want to talk about. I'm going to step back and I'm going to go get some water and I'm going to let you talk. Right?
Okay. Ron, why don't you just go grab some coffee, come back in about 30 minutes. I'll probably be done with my lesson. Hey, don't do that to me. Grab water quick because I would much rather have a conversation.
Is that fast, good, or cheap?
Make it fast.
No, but seriously, I want to bring you to the forefront. I'm literally going to sit here. I might run over there and just grab some water or something and come back because I don't know if you're going to ask a question. But literally, it's about you because what you have to offer to the listeners is, it's just gold. And the fact that you're coming on this show and you're providing this value, your expertise and your experience at no cost to the listeners, opposed to if somebody was trying to hire you, is a godsend. So I want to allow you to speak because it's going to help them. I just really don't want to interfere, brother.
No, not at all. And Ron, I appreciate you when you said it's all about me because you're right. I mean, it really is all about me, and that's just that's
no, just the other day, my sister called me a narcissist, but you said it's you. It's not me. It's you. That's the narcissist. I'm screenshotting this and I'm sending it to her because it's not about me. It's about you.
Right.
Yeah. I love you, brother.
Well, Ron, but all kidding aside, that's the perfect way to make me feel important, right? To get me to deliver my best stuff, to make me want to do anything in return for you, because when you make it all about me, because at this point, I mean, I'm your customer, right? I mean, I'm the guy coming onto your show, and you want to make me want to come back. So I got to buy what you're selling. So if you make me feel good about myself, then I'm willing to pay the price of, taking an hour out of my schedule, the next time. Right. And that's what we do in business. We serve, which ends up making us money. And then, like you said, we have more fun. So Ron, thanks for that. That's a very good point. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to take the value triangle and of course, make that the foundation. As a matter of fact, I'm going to share with you some specific techniques today. Mr. and Ms. Listener out in the audience, because you've probably been to see, and hear motivational speakers. I mean, they can be fun and funny and get your energy pumped up. But for me, I mean, if I don't actually learn something specific, I walk out of the session, they have me stand up on your chairs and repeat your affirmations and pat yourself on the back, hey, and do all that good stuff. And then you're all pumped, and you're excited with the other person. And then you walk out of the room, out of the seminar, out of the event, out of the weekend, and you go, oh, that was great. I'm so excited. Now what do I do? And that's because they didn't teach you the techniques, the tactics, the specifics for how to do what they've encouraged you to do. Or maybe they're trying to sell you a program and the whole thing was just a big tease. I don't like that. I don't do that. And so what I want to do is deliver some value for you today, a few of my 80 different techniques, so that you go, wow, that was really worth it. Maybe I'll want to, get some more from Mr. Charge Higher Prices. Matter of fact, Ron, I told you, I'm going to offer a full all access subscription to Charge Higher Prices University for your listeners and give them a full 60-day pass. And we're just getting ready to launch that. And all they'll have to do is email me. So if anybody likes what we talk about today, point by point by point, you know what? You'll get a whole lot more and at no charge, which totally violates everything I stand for as Mr. Charge Higher Prices, right? Because I used to not charge enough, but there are times when you do give it away to someone who deserves it. And Ron, because you're my friend and because we're close and I respect you, anyone in your audience, I'm going to give it, not forever, of course. Like I said, a 60-day full access pass, but it'll be enough probably be enough that if they get on the whole, every day, they'll absorb everything I got to offer, get the whole shebang for free. But, just want to serve.
Just so you know, when you see that John Doe at gmail.com or John Doe 123, if John Doe's already taken, that might be me, brother. Okay, because I know what you have to offer is tremendous, and you're giving it away for free. You know what I mean? And it's just, I love like John Asseroff. He talks about, and he's in your area too, San Diego area, right? So he talks about give away 95% because most people won't implement it anyhow, but they'll see the value in it and they're going to associate that value to you. And when they finally click, they're going to turn around and hire you to provide whatever that product or service is, or mindset. In this case, I'm a full believer, brother. And that's why, you're here and that's why I'm here. And this is our third attempt. I mean, we had an attempt last week, an attempt yesterday, and an attempt today, but there is no question that the value you bring is worth it. So I'm just going to full screen you, and I'm going to sit here. I'm not really going to walk away, but I want the audience to just see you because it's not about me, it's about you, brother.
All right, very good. So just as a preview, if anybody's got to click off, early, you would just email scott@chargehigherprices.com and request that all access pass to Charge Higher Prices University. Make sure you mention that you are a listener or viewer of Ron's Success Secrets Revealed show, so we know that it's legit. Again, that's scott@chargehigherprices.com. So let's talk about some techniques, tactics, some ways to get people to pay more than they thought they were going to pay, but still be happy they did so, and how to command top dollar in this what we might call a down economy right now. But again, these work in any economy. The first technique, and Ron, what I'm going to share today are some that you've never heard before, because I usually don't talk about these in public seminars. Often they're in more highly paid seminars, or sometimes with certain client companies. But I'm gonna share some that are more specific to entrepreneurs, because many of these work actually for large corporations, but I want to make sure they also apply to entrepreneurs, whether in products or in services. And so the first technique that I want to teach, I call discount your discount. Sometimes what was that?
No, go ahead.
Okay. All right. I call discount your discount. And what I mean by discount your discount is that, and matter of fact, let me tell you this story. I learned this from the former vice president of global sales, products or services. And so the first Why are you getting that feedback, Ron?
I was a little bit, but can you hear me now?
Yeah, somehow it's playing back my own words from like a moment ago.
Can you still hear your own words?
No, I can't now.
Okay, cool. So we're good.
Okay. All right, cool. So discount your discount. I learned this from the former global vice president of sales for a high-tech company that was doing like multi-million-dollar tech deals. Okay, this was not like small, but it works for small business as well. And I interview top experts in lots of different areas on how to charge higher prices, and I've developed techniques myself. I've learned them from some other experts out there, and I've learned them just by observing. So I asked this guy, I said, what's one of your best techniques for getting customers to pay top dollar, even when they're expecting a discount, for instance? And he said, this is such one day in my business, he said there was an automatic 20% assumed 20% discount for our services. Everybody knew that within our industry, in the tech industry, there was an automatic 20% discount. And so every salesperson would come in, and when the deal was closing, they would say, okay, here's the invoice. I just need you to authorize the 20% discount for this customer. And he goes, they'd put the paperwork down in front of me. I would sign it off, and they'd go and they'd give the 20% discount to their customer. And that's the way that's the way business was done. But one day, I was scratching my head. One day, one sales guy came into me, and he put the paperwork in front of me. This is for a multi-million-dollar deal for a major player. And he said, okay, just need the 20% discount because that's what they're expecting, because that's industry, that's kind of industry standard for what we do, as you know, and sign it off. And the VP sat back in his chair and he says, I'm not giving you the 20% discount. And the sales guy just went, what? He just went, all the blood drained from his face. He went white. And he said, well, what do you mean? And he said, no, I'm going to give you a 14.23% discount on this deal. And the sales guy said, 14.23, what are you talking about? 0.23, where did that come from? And he said, the 23rd is my birthday, so that's what I'm giving you. and he said, well, I can't sell that. And the VP said, you either come back with the signature and this deal closed, or don't come back at all. And the guy picked up the paperwork, left the room, and not long after, he came back with the approved deal with a 14.23% discount. And the VP told me, he said, I never gave a full 20% discount again. I would give, 14.23 or 16.17 or 8.64. And I talked to him about it a little bit, and then later I went back and analyzed, and I started doing some research and analyzing the psychology of what he was doing. And I've taught this to so many of my clients, both big corporate clients as well as smaller clients. And here's what I've found. When my clients use this, a couple things happen. Number one, they're able to get a higher price than they expected to get because there was an assumed discount that their client was expecting, and they didn't have to give that full discount because, listen, a 20% discount or a 10% discount, what rationale is that based on? Nothing whatsoever. Those are round numbers. They're arbitrary numbers, and customers know that they don't mean anything. And so what I found with teaching this to my clients is that when you give a 13.62% discount and you come back and you say, this is what I was able to do, your customers are happier with that lower discount because they assume that you went back and you got out your pencil sharpener, man. You looked at every possible permutation in this deal. You ground your boss. You looked for every way you could save them, and you came up with a number that has a rationale behind it, that means something, that has logic, and that there's no way you could even squeak out anymore. So they are happier with less of a discount than they would have been with the full discount. Because listen, if you're in the habit of say you're a small business person and the customer says, well, we need to have like at least 10% off to do that deal with you. And maybe your habit would be to give a 10% discount. What you say is, let me take a look at that. And then you come back to them and you say, you know what, I can't give you a 10% discount. I've penciled it out. What I could give you is an 8.17% discount. So if that would work, and your customer goes, okay, yeah, let's do it, because it's close enough to 10%. So you put more money in your pocket. Your customer ends up happier because they think they got every bit of blood out of you they could. When you give them a 10% round discount, there's always that sneaking suspicion in the back of their mind, they could have done better. they should have asked for 11. They should have asked for 15 because they know it really didn't mean anything, and maybe they should have asked for 2.
And that's true, brother. I got 10, but I know I could have got 12 if I just tried a little bit harder.
Yeah, because 10 didn't mean anything. They knew 10 didn't mean anything. And so when you make it sound like it means something, even when you feel pressured, like in this current economic environment, everyone in the economy is hurting for cash. And so when you feel pressured to give a discount, do not give an arbitrary round number. Don't give 5% or 10 or 15 or even 12. Okay. Give a decimal point. Take it out to 2 decimal points. Make it seem like it means something and that you gave them everything you possibly could, and you ground your boss to give. Matter of fact, here's another technique that strikes me right now that I didn't have on my mind to share. But every entrepreneur should have 2 sets of business cards. If you're the owner of the company, the CEO of the company, you should have 2 sets of business cards. You should have one that says, president, CEO, owner, founder, whatever. And you hand that out in certain place where you maybe do networking or it's important. But when you go out on sales calls, have one that says like senior sales consultant. Because when you have a business card that says CEO or president or founder, the person in front of you knows you're the final decision maker, and they can grind you for as big a discount as they possibly can. If you just have a card that says like senior sales consultant, then when they ask for a discount, then you can say, well, okay, well, I'll take that back to the office. I'll see what they can do. I'll talk to the owner and see, what we can make happen. So you take away all the power from yourself to say yes, and then you go back to the office, you look in the mirror and you go, should we give this guy a discount? I don't know. You have a talk with the CEO, right? And then you come back and you go, I talked to the owner, or I talked to if they find out you're the owner later, that would sound weird. So I talked to the committee, I talked to our pricing specialist, I talked, whatever it happens to be, I talked to the team, and this is the best we can do. But it takes all the power to say yes away from you, because you don't want to have final decision-making power when they're asking for a discount. You want to what we call appeal to higher authority and act like you're doing the best you can because your hands are tied. And they'll be happier with you for having given them a lesser discount.
I love it. Now, Scott, let me ask you a question about discounts as a whole, right? I know like many years ago when I started in this area, I grew up in Boston area, and my whole family and everybody moved south, but I moved to the North Shore. So when I came up here, I was by myself. I had all the certs, I had insurance, and I had all that. But I looked around and I saw that businesses that did what I did, and at that time I was doing a lot of what's called managed services. I would, your computers, your servers, your printers, you got 150 users. I would help people with that. And most of the people were charging roughly $60 to $75 an hour, but none of them were insured and none of them were certified. Right. So, but now that was the individuals. Then you had the companies that were providing those services, right? And they were claiming to have those certificates and that insurance. They were charging like $150, and these people were charging like, $75. So my first couple of years, I started charging $40, and I was telling people I am insured, experienced, trained, and certified. And then it grew from there. The first year was 40, the next year was 50, the next year was 60 per hour. And then I kind of like sidestepped and I went right to the online marketing, which I was doing, but I just knew that there was like 3 times the money. But long and short of it is, when it came to the pricing, I saw that the people in this area were not trained, were not certified, and were insured, and were charging X amount as an individual, and the businesses were charging this much. So I kind of like tried to balance out the difference, because at the end of the day, if that business is charging $150, but they're sending out a tech, and that tech is certified and experienced on this level, you're paying for this much, he's certified for this much, this is the skill set you're getting. You know what I mean? And you're just paying for their lights and their rent and their insurance. So how can people kind of like blend the differences?
Well, you're right that there's a real challenge, with folks, as just individuals that are underinsured. They're they don't have the overhead and the support that a quote unquote real company might offer. And when I'll give you two scenarios. When you're just an individual, don't do that to yourself. When you don't have the right insurances, the right coverages, et cetera, you're putting yourself at risk. You're putting your possessions, your family, you're putting your future and your reputation at risk. So make sure you get the right coverages. But when you're competing against those, when you're doing business legitimately, and you've got the insurance coverages, the overhead, the service department, to where you're actually going to be able to back up the service that you promise and the products in a way that you promise, you need to sell differently from those that are doing it, on a shoestring and able to undercut you. And one way is, I love, matter of fact, I love a particular, there's a particular closing line and line for overcoming the price objection that I learned from our mutual friend, Eric Swanson. And I don't know who Eric learned it from, because we get these great techniques and sometimes these great lines that we learn from each other, and we pass them around. But I always like when Eric says, Mr. Prospect, Ms. Prospect, I understand, you're looking for a better price, looking for a discount. But he says, I never said we're the low price provider. We are the low risk provider.
Ooh.
So we're not the low price provider. We're not the low cost provider. He says, but we are the low risk provider. And
smile, and I'm writing it down. We are not, but we're the low risk. I love it.
Right. So you're the low risk provider. And I call that selling on cost rather than price, because I never have people sell on price. If you sell on price, you'll lose every time. Matter of fact, what I always say is a salesperson that leads with his price is like a boxer leading with his chin. I mean, you're just going to get it handed to you. You're going down to the mat. Because price cutting is the first retreat of the inexperienced, the ignorant, and the lazy salesperson. And I know I talked a few minutes ago about discounting your discount, but that's in a situation where, for instance, maybe there's an implied discount that everyone expects in that industry, or in a down economy like this, you're not going to get business unless you do offer some kind of discount, and so you want to discount your discount, reduce that. But my point is, to avoid even going to a discount at all, sell on the cost of doing business with a low price provider, because price and cost often have an inverse relationship. The lower the price you pay for something, often the higher the cost. Ron, you've cheaped out just like I have, and you've bought something for low price before. Maybe it's a product or whatever, and then it breaks or gets damaged, or it doesn't do it, the quality isn't there. And then what do? You go buy the high price one out there that you should have bought in the first place, and guess what? Now you paid $50 for this low one, and then you had to pay, and then 6 months later you paid $100 for this one. What was the cost to you? $150 for buying the low price option. Price and cost have an inverse relationship. Your $50 price tag cost you $150. Whereas if you just paid $100 in the first place, the $100 price, the higher price, it would have been a lower cost than if you had paid for the lower priced option in the first place. I mean, I've got so many stories about that from my own life, my clients. I just get these amazing stories from people that are that just back this up in so many ways. And so there are a lot. For instance, when companies want to hire me to speak to their conference, they look at my price tag and they go, wow, that's kind of steep. Can you do any better? We got another guy that's like half your price. And I'm going, well, yeah, you can get a generic sales trainer. There's plenty of them out there. You can get a generic marketing negotiation. That's fine. But there's only one Mr. Charge Higher Prices. And I specifically make every single technique that I teach your audience, your sales team. You got 500 salespeople. Well, the last company that I worked with, there are 500 salespeople. Each of them went out and they made an extra profit, not revenue, but profit, an extra $2,000 profit for the company every single month after that. Do the math on that. That's millions of dollars. Are you really going to cut price a few $1,000s to say so that you don't end up with millions on the back end like this other company I just worked with? And here's their number. You can call them. So I am not the low price provider. I am the not just low risk, but I'm the low cost provider, because you got to take opportunity cost into consideration as well. If they would have hired the other guy that maybe, and I'm not saying I'm necessarily better than anyone else, but let's say I am better than the other one they were going to train, and they would have made $1 million more hiring me than this other person. Maybe they made money. Maybe they made $1 million by hiring that other person, but with me, they would have made $2 million. So their opportunity cost, the money they left on the table they could have made, was $1 million, because they cheaped out and didn't want to pay, a few $1,000s extra for myself, for instance. And I'm going to keep talking right now, because hopefully this is because I've just lost Ron, and hopefully this is still being recorded, and we're still on video. or maybe at least audio. All right. So the next technique that I'm going to go into right now, while I'm waiting for Ron to come back, is called, well, you've heard of pay me now or pay me later, right? Pay me now or pay me later. And matter of fact, I just want to mention, if you hear my African gray parrots in the background, it's because I'm hanging out here in Bora Bora at the beach. And we have African grays, and they just make noise, and they chirp and they talk. So they're downstairs in my beach house right now. Although you can probably tell this is a backdrop. Anyway, so you've heard of pay me now or pay me later. Well, this technique is called pay me now and pay me later. So when someone says, "Gosh, the economy is down, or we can't afford what you're charging, or can you give us a discount?" One great way to overcome that, the price objection, and to get them to pay full price to you, is to say, "You know what? I would love to give you a discount. I'd love to work with you on that." And so maybe there's some ways that we can work together and get creative, because I understand if you're strapped for cash, but I of course still need to get full value from what I provide. Maybe there's some creative ways we can work together. So what were you thinking about what you could afford? And so don't offer any price. So maybe let's say you're asking $10,000 for what you're doing, and they said, "Well, the best we could do is maybe 7,500." And you say, "You know what? Totally understand, and I can work with that." So here's what we'll do. I'll let you do the 7,500 right now, and then let's work out a plan where, matter of fact, I'm not even going to charge you interest. Okay, make it sound completely gracious. Okay, I mean, you can charge a finance rate if you want to, but you can say, "You know what? Tell you what, at the end of 6 months, at the end of a month, or make it every 30 days, whatever, a particular payment." But what I find is if you push off the payment, a larger payment for longer, then they know they'll have more time to build up the cash, as opposed to saying, "Pay me the 7,500 right now, and then pay me, $500 a month for the next 5 months," kind of thing. So instead you say, "Pay me the 7,500 now, and then in 6 months, let's do the other 2,500. That's fine. I'll be totally flexible and work with you." So that's pay me now and pay me later. And guess what? You didn't have to discount at all. You still got your full 10 grand. Now, again, you can put things on payments. Absolutely. And I totally believe in that. You can put a finance charge on it. You can charge interest, like for some of my programs sometimes that are ongoing. You'll pay, X $1,000, up front, Or if you want to do it in payments, you end up paying, X thousand plus X several $100s, something like that, just for the sake of, for the privilege, the courtesy that I've given you of putting it on payments. But don't just discount. Okay. Many of us just discount, and I used to do this too. I would just discount reflexively. I would give the price, and then I'd see the look in their eyes like, well, maybe a little too much. I wouldn't even wait for them to say something. I would go, or you know what? We've got a Valentine's Day special right now that we're running, 10% off. I would immediately, without them even saying anything, or I'd say, or you know what? I know times are tough right now. Let me do it for 10% less. Or I'd just say, you know what? I can probably talk to my team, and we can figure out some ways where we can reduce our costs on this job, and we'll reduce it by 10%. Well, here's it. And that's why I was sleeping on the floor of my warehouse for 5 years with my dog Winston, because I discounted reflexively. And what I didn't understand is that I was working from a revenue model. I was basing my value, the pricing, on revenue. Okay, 10%, that's not a big deal. Well, what if my margin ultimately was only 15%? Because a lot of people work on it like 10, 15, 20% margin when everything is paid. Okay, all overhead, materials, costs, etc., labor. And so I didn't have a business background. I was a philosophy major in college, and so I would just I'd say, 10% off. I was actually cutting my profit margin there was almost nothing left. So, in fact, there was nothing left, which is why I was sleeping on the floor of the warehouse. I was giving away my entire profit, which is why I say this. Companies that are focused on increasing revenue, I try to teach them out of that mindset, because revenue is for children. Profit is for grown-ups. Revenue is for children. Profit is for grown-ups. Focus on the profit, and don't give away your profit by just reflexively discounting. Okay? Increase your value and their perception of your value by increasing their willingness, which increases their willingness to pay. So again, one way to do it would be to defer payment, which is fine. And sometimes you can even take a small down payment and defer payment over time. Make it easy for customers to do business with you, especially when it is a down economy, especially if you're hurting for cash and they are. Don't just discount it. Don't just give it away. Give them creative ways to still pay you full price, or as close to full price as you can get. And a matter of fact, another way and I'll wrap up our time together because we're approaching an hour, but another way to get people to give you full price, but maybe they are hurting for cash in a down economy or tough times, or they're just strapped for cash, is with a technique that I call think outside the box. Think outside the box, not the box, but the box. Think outside the box. And by that, I mean, when someone says to you, we're going to need a discount on that, or, we can't afford that, or your price is too high, or whatever, you can say, I completely understand what you're saying. I've got a number of clients that, I am not the low price provider, but I am the low risk provider, or I'm not the low price provider, but I am the best provider. I never said I was the cheapest. I only said I was the best. However you want to answer that question, but you say, but you know what? Maybe there's a creative way we can work within your budget that would work for both of us. Do you mind if we explore some options there? Throw it back in their lap. Hi, Ron, you're back.
Yeah, that was crazy. I literally had to shut down my computers and just bring everybody back. But thank you so much for carrying on, brother. So let me bring you back on.
Yeah, no, it's okay. And I told everyone you dropped off for a minute, so I kept going, and I'm glad to have you back. But I'm in the middle of, and I'm about to offer my final technique for this when someone asks for a discount. And I mentioned to everyone there are a couple of different ways to answer that, but then you follow up that answer with, maybe there's some creative ways that we could explore to work within your budget. Would you be open to that? And of course, they're going to say yes. And you say, well, with some of my customers that I do business with, they also can't afford full price cash wise, but what we do is we figure out what are some non-cash cash equivalents, things that would be just as valuable as cash to me, but that might not cost you much at all, or would be completely free. For instance, I've got clients that have set me up with, and this is true for myself, by the way. I've got clients that have set me up with, as part of the payment, they've set me up with like cell companies that have set me up with full year unlimited cellular plans, or I got a shopping spree through an entire cellular store, right? I got to go in and with my price, right? And I got to go in and just pull stuff off the shelf. I got like headsets and phone cases, all kinds of stuff. I did all my Christmas shopping at the cellular store, and they were happy about that. Why? Because, well, I got my full price worth of retail value, but their wholesale price on those things was probably about half or maybe less, which means, let's say it was a $10,000 fee. I got $10,000 worth of stuff, and maybe they only had to pay $3,000. So they got the discount they were looking for on their books. I got full value. I got, for my books. Or we do a partial. I'll have a company pay me, let's say they pay me X thousands of dollars, and then they'll provide a service for me. I've had companies do that. I've gotten with major sports teams, for instance. I remember there was one time I had a little 5-figure speaking engagement that I had with them, and they said, well, we even though we're a major sports team, we have this budget for this particular event. Can you work with it? And I said, yeah, let's talk. And so I got their full budget, which was still a hefty payment. Plus, I got some great season tickets for the whole season. Up front row. I mean, just amazing. For their sporting events. Here locally in Southern California. I'm in Newport Beach here, so we've got a number of teams here, and that's what I worked out with one of the teams. So there are all kinds of ways, and Ron, I call this technique think outside the box. Think outside the box, because you can get non-cash cash equivalents that are creative, that cost your prospect less out of their pocket or nothing out of their pocket. Maybe I've gotten overstocked merchandise sometimes from clients, and it's worth a whole lot to me, but it's worth nothing to them because they had it on the warehouse shelf. It was excess inventory. So I don't just reflexively discount. I say, well, how much can you pay? And then they tell me, and I say, well, let's talk about how to make up that difference creatively. So are you open to exploring? And they're wide open. I mean, maybe it's the CEO has a cabin up in the mountains, and I can take my family up there. I've done that before for a week, during the summer or during the winter for a snow vacation. That's worth money to me. So those are exciting ways that you can actually take less cash, but then make it up in other ways to where you don't look like you're discounting at all, because you made sure you commanded full price. It just came in various forms. How's that, Ron?
I love it. And there are people, I don't know what's on your end because my end's not changed, but I love it. And there are people who might not be able to afford whatever that product or service is, but they can certainly barter with options that you spoke about. So it just literally opens up so many options without discounting your products and services. So
right.
You might get a check, you might get a credit card processing, you might get some type of fee, which might not be your normal fee, but you can then make it up. Maybe they're a content writer and they'll, rewrite your website. Maybe, whatever it is, they can add value in some other way. I mean, I just love, to me, that's all about bringing solutions to the table. First, letting them know the value of whatever the association is, what can become because of us working together, and then figuring out how we can make that happen. I love it, Scott.
Right. Very good. Well, Ron, it has been so awesome. It always rocks just to be with you and to share with your audience. And matter of fact, this is I think we've done one or two of these before, but it's always been audio because it's always been on the radio show. And I know you're going to rebroadcast this on the radio. but this is the first time we've done video also. And this,
how do you like it?
Oh yeah, you're looking good. Matter of fact, I am doing so many I think this week I'm doing 50 hours. Literally, I counted them.
Wow.
50 hours of trainings, of interviews, of university classes, all kinds of things online. And so I've gotten used to wearing what I call the business mullet. Okay, you see how good I look up here?
Yeah.
Well, you don't see what it looks like down there because I got my business mullet on. Business on top, party on the bottom.
Nice. We don't know that, but I will tell you, normally
that's probably TMI.
No, but that's, truthfully, I literally, before this interview started, I changed out of my gym shorts because I was out jogging and walking, took a shower, came back, and I put on, my dungarees and this shirt. But you're right.
Why in the world do you have pants on, Ron? I mean, I'm the underwear executive right now. Why would you bother? Business on top, party on the bottom.
Just in case I have to close the window with the noise and I stand up, right? I don't, you know what I mean? So, but you're right.
I'm not standing up, Ron. You can't make me.
Yeah, well, it might just happen without even really thinking about it, right? So I just, eliminate that. But you're right. I mean, the world's changed. We just bring value in whatever way we can bring it. We help people, we serve, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day if we're wearing, sweatpants, a pair of shorts, a nice shirt or whatever. But I love it. Scott, you've always provided tremendous value to people in understanding not just the price points, but how to guide and navigate people to see the value of what you provide. I had this one person who was a real estate agent, and he wanted, it was only like $750. It was like $500 a month for a year, which is $600 or $6,000, and then $150 for his website. But he's like, oh no, $750, $500 a month, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, how much is the average house in this area? He's at 500. I said, all right, let's say it's 400, and you get X amount, and beep, and we brought it all down, right? So he gets 400. We dropped it to 400. They get 8%. They get 4%, and beep, they split it, and all this other crap. At the end of the day, off a $400,000 house, he gets $8,000. I'm like, dude, can you sell one house in a year? I'm guaranteeing you to be on the first page of the search engines before you pay me a penny for the best real estate agent in your area. Do you think that you can, sell one house in a year? And if you can't, let me know, because I'm going to get my real estate agent and my real estate license, and I'm going to get myself in that area. My brother Ricky was laughing when I was talking to them, right? Because, but sometimes you have to walk people through the process. So you pay $7,500. One client is $8,000. Two clients, you made 16. You're not making 105% profit on Wall Street anytime soon, right? So that's two clients in a year. Plus, you have the website and you have your rankings for the rest of your life. So, I mean, it's just, to me, explaining to people the value in the process is, part of the process. But, how you broke it down to, the fast, your triangle, to me, is priceless. I've used it many times with success in the sales process. So personally, I'm grateful, and I strongly recommend people who hear you and hear this, reach out to you and contact you and see what they can do to hire you and learn.
Fantastic, Ron. And matter of fact, I'm gonna do one better. I gave my email address, scott@chargehigherprices.com. I have no problem giving your audience my cell number. So if they want to call me, it's area code 949-650-0006. That's 949-650-0006. So I have no problem getting calls from folks from time to time here and there, give them a few minutes of consulting. I just try to help as many people as I can, answer questions, so send me an email, request access, full access to Charge Higher Prices University, which is going to be launching very soon. and I'll send that out to your audience. Ron, thanks. It's just been a pleasure. You're a pleasure. You're such a big giver, and I love you, man.
I love it, and thank you so much. And let's say thank you to Eric Swanson of Habitude Warrior Conference. That's where I met you, and I've met so many people like you at that event. You're a rock star. I'm so grateful for everything you do, and thank you for sharing your expertise and experience with our viewers.
Thanks, Ron. You rock, man.
You have a great day.
You too.